Hello and welcome back to the RPG Maker Reviews. Today we're going to be looking at Beyond the Shadows. If you had me describe Beyond the Shadows in 3 words, it'd be a hard sell. Mostly because I take ages to explain things and I mostly speak in paragraphs, but I think I could do it. I think I would settle on hard but fair. Because a lot of my footage is just me dying over and over and over again. But most of my footage also is me having an absolute blast with this game. Ever wanted to experience the wonder of getting 4 completely broken weapons back to back that you can't use? Beyond the Shadows. Ever wanted to watch the life leave the eyes of things you once struggled with? Beyond the Shadows. Ever wanted to just get your teeth kicked in for 40 minutes straight? Beyond the Shadows. Now, the long and short of Beyond the Shadows is pretty simple. You have no name, no memory, and you're being taunted by a spirit that wants you dead. So fucking kit and spit and fight on. Every 5 levels you have a big boss fight. There's shops you can trade for gear and, more importantly, save slots, as this game doesn't let you save normally, classifying it as a roguelite. You get 1 save at the start of the game, and the rest you have to find or buy. No pressure, right? It does make this game very weird to review, because it's so much different from every other game I've looked at. It has absolutely no qualms of giving you unfair situations that you either just flat can't win, or can only win by extreme cheese. So I'm going to change out 2 of our normal ranking categories for very different reasons. Firstly, because we have 1 character who spends a good chunk of the first part of the game mute, I'm going to be swapping out character, usually served for ranking party interactions, for game balance. Interesting choice, I know, but in a game where your only real thing is fighting, its balance is vitally important to get right. And I'll be swapping exploration for atmosphere. Because most of what you can explore is just mazes over and over, and if I ranked off exploration raw, it'd get a pretty low score. But I want to swap it for atmosphere, because that's close enough to exploration without being exploration that I feel comfortable enough giving it a fair ranking. There's a bit more to talk about with atmosphere also, but I'll talk about that a bit later on when I get to proper ranking. Now, this game's core loop is fundamentally different from every other game I've reviewed so far, because it's not trying to be an RPG with a deep story and character interactions. It's trying to be an RPG Roguelite, which focuses more on moment-to-moment gameplay and logical thinking to outwit the enemy. Now, you descend through a labyrinth of random rooms, find random loot from color-coded boxes. Red is weapons, blue is armor, green is items, and yellow is learning new skills, I believe. I may have gotten green and yellow mixed around. You fight a boss every 5 floors, upgrade your, quote, voice, which is necessary for different endings depending on what voices you have equipped and when, and repeat the loop ad nauseum. It's a very good gameplay loop in short bursts, if only you weren't limited in your saves. This is the only real complaint about the saves technically being limited, is that they're mostly tied behind purchasing them from the store with the game's currency. It makes me feel like I have to use the shop not as a tactical thought to gain more advantage over the upcoming dungeons, but as a check to make sure I have enough sleep bucks to get a save slot to ensure that I can drop one if necessary. Now, the game's story really isn't much, and it's not something I was paying attention to simply because it's quite simple. Your player character is dying and is in a purgatory. Die in this purgatory, your character flatlines. No pressure. But where the story is simple, everything else is very complex. I'm sure you've noticed, looking at the gameplay footage, that there is a light system involving a lamp. This is fun. This is the sort of charm I see coming out of games on the platform. I don't know how you've done this, truth be told, but it's amazing, and I think this is awesome. You essentially need to use a kerosene lamp every so often in order to be able to see past 2 feet in front of you. It's great, I really like it, and it's just a bit of charm to add onto it. But mostly because how this game is structured, you'll never really be able to reliably build your character how you want. Because of the random aspect of the game, there's kind of a method to my madness with all the choices I make. Mine follows as such. Start a run and die a lot. This is pretty much going to happen every time. You get the guaranteed save before you loot the 4 boxes in the footage you can see now. That gives you a variable of items. But the thing you want to be looking for is agility gear or gear that gives life regeneration, as being faster than the enemy means you get hit less, and having life regen means you can go for longer. Brute force your way down to floor 5, as the early game is fairly simple. Drop the save slot you can find in the first room in order to be able to not have to do that mess again. Use the shop to purchase running shoes, which allow you to move faster outside of combat. Pray. And if you pray hard enough to a deity of your choice, you too can get your ass kicked at floor 15. Seriously, I have no idea how you're meant to do that fight. That's probably a skill issue. So, I've spoken pretty boldly about the game, and I believe it's quite cool. And I just have enjoyed this game a lot. But where does it rank compared to the other games I've reviewed, both in this season and just in general? Well, let's have a look at that. So, how do I rank this game? This is going to be an interesting game to rank, so let's just get down and dirty in it. The story is small, subtle, and set-dressing mostly. This game strikes me as one made for everything else first, and then the story second, which isn't a bad thing, I need to say. The small little drops of lore tidbits, especially on floor, 13 I think it is? Being a small community of lost souls is nice set dressing, and when you get there, you get to see some set dressing of your own. It's just nice. It's very nice and has some classic RPG flair, even if this game is a roguelite RPG and not a traditional one. I'm going to give this game's story a 3 out of 5 because it floats in the background mostly. The moments where it is in the center spotlight are few and far between, and this game's focus seems to be more on the RNG and combat than anything else. Balance is always a tricky thing to tie down with a game like this, but I think the game comes very close to being balanced. In most roguelite games, the game tries to have every possible combination be winnable. Let's see, Balatro, that's a mostly winnable combination if you run pairs all the time. This game is very close to being at the point where every possible combination of weapons and armor is a winnable situation. And if you know enough about the game and how it works, I think you could theoretically beat any fight with any combination of weapons that are on level with what you can get from that gap of the descent. There were a few runs where I felt like nothing I could do would let me win, but if I got better, I think I could turn them into winnable situations. My only real complaint about the game's balance entirely is, well, 2 things. Firstly, the first 5 levels, the damage numbers there feel skewed against you a little bit, and it makes those first 5 falls a bit of a slog, relying on getting either a great defense armor, or a lot of HP boosting items, or agility items, or just something. And secondly, if you dupe a skill out of the yellow boxes, you do not get any reward for it. I'm not saying give us $100 and a kiss on the cheek, but I am saying we should probably have either a failsafe to make sure you can't dupe too many times, or a 4 or 5 sleep if you dupe a skill, just so that you don't feel like you've just been entirely scammed. But I can't really complain too much. This game's balance is pretty good in every other situation, so I'm gonna give balance a 4 out of 5. The combat is, simply put, fun. It requires a fair amount of mechanical understanding to know when to go full offense and when to play defensively. The enemy variety is great and keeps you on your toes. The combat mostly feels pretty fair and like you're not fighting impossible battles. And the sheer number of different equipable weapons, armor, accessories, and the voice help spice this game's variety to the point where you don't feel like you're going to get bored. So I'm going to give combat a solid 4 out of 5. This game's atmosphere is incredibly well done. I've only seen 3 different themes, that being the castle-y, dungeony thing, the forest, and the cemetery, and all 3 of them feel like a purgatory of hellish proportions, and each of them feel more grim than the last. It's an incredibly well-designed set of themes. The castle feels claustrophobic and enclosing, as it should. The forest just feels like something is wrong and you're being watched from the tree line, and the cemetery just has a haunted feeling of moroseness in every single step, that it just oozes personality. And in addition, the lamp and your limited visibility help this a lot, and it also helps cover that most of these are just random generated rooms. So they feel like somewhere you'd go while stuck between life and death. I'm going to give atmosphere a 4 out of 5. It is a great atmosphere, but there's just some small things that are holding it. The enjoyability is an interesting one to me, because I did enjoy this game a lot, and it's one I would go back and finish if I have a better understanding of like the floor 15 boss and a few of the other little niggles and nags that I've had along the game. But, you know, it's incredibly well made. I'm not going to deny that. It's a great game. There's just a lot of small things that nag at me while I play. So I can't go any higher than a 4 out of 5 for this one. It's a shame, but it's just kind of how it is. So this brings the game score to 19 out of 25, which is a respectable score for a game. It's mechanically a well-made game with a lot going for it. It's just got a few small issues on most fronts that just kind of add up along the way and make it much harder to play to a full extent. As usual, I won't hold this against the dev. Not every game is easy to pick up and play for everyone, and that's entirely okay. Another video done. I still don't know exactly what my next video will be on an RPG Maker review, but I do plan to get the last few out sooner rather than later. But I just kind of want to say that this, for like, as much as it seems like I may have been bashing this game for smaller things, which I totally was not trying to do, I had a blast with this game. I really enjoyed it. I just kind of am a little lost with some things in some places, but that's not... I don't mean that as a bad thing for anyone, but I just feel like I wish there was a tutorial or something, but whatever. The most important thing to remember with these games is that these are not AAA games. These are just one person or a couple people making a game because they have the energy and drive for it. So anything I say is always in... Like, I don't mean it as an insult to anyone. I just enjoy examining things a little closer than most would. So this is how I make the content I do for this sort of thing. But with all that said, I will leave you all. Have a good rest of your day, night, wherever it is for you, and enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good one, and I will... Again, I'll see you later. Drop a like, drop a subscribe if you haven't. Ta-ta!